7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, welcome back into another edition of the Vegas Squares and our NFL Picks podcast. Spike and myself, Aaron, are sitting here in studio, and we are ready to give you our picks for week number
15.
Oh, man, you should see him. He just gears up for that.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, he does.
I love it.
I love it, too. Like I said, week number 15 in the NFL. It is picks for those NFL games. I got to say, I know we're going to recap the scores and everything, and I like to keep a running tab on my phone, and I tell you every couple of weeks that if you bet my picks blindly, you would be up or down X. So after 14 weeks, if you blindly bet 100 or the juice on my picks, you would be up $90.
Hey!
For 14 weeks.
Over 14 weeks. Not exactly making a living at it.
It's like $1 an hour. Yeah, you would not be making a living, but you would not be losing money. So you could probably pay for, what's that, about a light bill in a small condo?
Yeah, I was going to say something like a decent steak dinner for one on the Strip.
Yeah, that's true. That might get you a Coke on the side, too. So anyways, so Spike and myself are in the studio. What's been going on this week for you? Because I know you've been so into college football lately, and this is the week that we only have the one game, and that's America's game. But since we're recording on Saturday, we have not actually gotten the outcome of that game yet. So I know that what have you been filling your void with since you've been watching so much college football lately?
Well, yeah, and that's just the way it goes. I actually knew that the Army-Navy game was this week because I am trying to build a desk in my office. I'm trying to completely redo the whole thing.
You've mentioned that once.
And the one guy that I know that's actually into woodworking that has tools I can borrow is a Marine. So he's big into the Army-Navy game. Only sporting event of the year he actually gives a shit about. So he's been all over Facebook and like, oh, go Navy, beat Army, blah, blah, blah. And now I have to like kiss his ass because I need to borrow his tools to build my desk.
It's a big thing that go, because you're right. There's a lot of people who could care less about sports who have served, and they are real big into this rivalry.
They love it. Love it. So,
but
yeah.
It's one of those respectful rivalries. It's not like you go to the Oakland Coliseum in a Chiefs jersey and you wonder if you're going to bleed out in the parking lot.
Yes. No,
this is a respectful rivalry, which is just witty banter, and I like it because College Game Day is there, and that's always fun to watch, basically the next generation of recruits have their last moments of fun.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I know another guy who's really into woodwork. That's you. Insert sexual pun.
Okay. I was wondering where you were trying to go with that because you were giving me the side eye.
Yeah, you liked it. All right, okay. Well, let's thank the sponsors here before we get into the picks. Obviously, first and foremost, 12-ounce Sports Radio, where you can hear us all weekend across a few different time spots. Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. And obviously, Seat Giant, promo code 12-ounce sports for your discounted sporting events, theater, and concert tickets. All right, so it is just you and I in studio. It's we've been Tony-less for...
It's been a while.
Yeah, for the NFL podcast.
Yeah.
I know Token Tony is busy. His job is ramping up into one of the busier parts of his season.
Oh, that's right. They got that thing going on.
Yeah, for sure. But Tony Johnson, no excuse.
Yeah.
The man's office is any sports book around the city, so it's not like he's confined and working late hours. So, Tony Johnson, get your butt over here and give us.
He's just lazy.
Yeah.
Laziness, no work ethic,
professionalism.
Goddamn millennials.
Yep. Even though he's older than me. Are you a millennial? You're not a millennial.
No, I'm Gen X.
What is millennial? Like the year rate range?
I have spent way too much time actually looking into these kinds of things.
Because I think someone's told me once I'm classified as a millennial, but like I look at people born 10, 15 years after me, and I'm like, that's a millennial.
So the U.S. Census Bureau has only ever defined two generations. Boomers, which is like 45 to, I think, 62. 45 to 65, somewhere in there. And millennials, they actually defined millennials a few years ago as anyone born between 1982 and 2000.
That's a huge gap, though, at least technologically.
Well, yeah, but a generation is supposed to be roughly 20 years anyway.
Right, but I mean, you have people. Not to interrupt you, I apologize.
Oh, no, that's
but
fine.
You have people like one of my siblings was born in 2000. Now, her and I grew up very differently.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she doesn't. I remember one time joking around with her. She's in college now. I think it was in high school, and I pulled out a cassette tape. She had no idea what it was. She also, we had in our house, it was in the garage, I found, was a VCR, not a VCR, but a VCR would have been a good one too, but a tape rewinder. Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah.
When you would put the tape in and it would rewind it for you?
My first job in high school was at a video rental store, so we had like
Rewinding
three of those suckers lined up for when people didn't rewind.
Did you actually ever charge people for not rewinding? I know Blockbuster pulled that stunt for a little while. It didn't go over well.
Yeah, no, the place that I worked at, they wouldn't charge. They just had the giant Be Kind rewind stickers on all the tapes.
Speaking of, did you ever see that movie, Be Kind Rewind? With
No.
Jack Black and Mos Def?
I've heard about it, and I've heard that it's actually worth a watch.
Underrated, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, as far as the generations thing go, it's just sort of, they don't mean anything. They're not like, they just kind of.
I feel like they just create separation and arguments. I mean, you have the new OK Boomer going on now.
And it's more about
kind of funny.
It's more about, demographers need something to do aside from just publish papers, so they come up with these terms for people born. And it's essentially like, I'm Gen X, so the definition of Gen X is essentially born into analog, but kind of grew up and matured through digital. And that was how and then, the attitude of whatever, and, the whole thing.
I can argue that being, I guess, what would classify as early mid millennial, would feel born into analog as well. I mean, what would analog? I mean, I had Laserdisc, 8-track early, and then cassettes, and then because for me, I felt like it went from Laserdisc to Blu-ray like real quick.
Oh yeah, it definitely felt that way. So
I mean, I felt like we experienced it all except for maybe vinyl.
Yeah,
I mean, it still existed. It was rare. Your grandparents probably had it, but other than that, I mean, I feel like my generation, quote unquote, has seen all the different technology and how much it's advanced. I mean, I personally lived in an era that the internet didn't exist.
Yeah, I did
my
too.
My sister has not.
Yeah, we.
But I get what you're saying. Generation 20 years, but that generation of quote unquote millennials has so many different life experiences from beginning to what you would classify as the end of millennial.
Right, and then there's also. They try to put in like 3 years into Gen X and 3 years into millennial. They call it Zillennial Z.
Oh, Jesus.
Or XENNIAL, whatever. And that's sort of the bridge area. And it's sort of a weird thing. But like I said, these are just, and essentially, it's a bunch of people make up terms for the thing. Because remember, the millennials are supposed to be Gen Y. The new one is Gen Z, but that'll get a name attached to it after a while, and it's essentially...
What, you Gen Z?
No, I'm Gen X.
Gen X, that's right.
Yeah.
I can't keep track.
So it's just, somebody will attach a name to it, and whatever gets picked up by, like, the common lexicon will eventually
whatever the
be
hashtag
the name.
becomes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you're right. It does... It tends to divide us. It's like, academically speaking, it's kind of interesting because they can put trends and they can say, well, millennials in the workforce versus Gen X in the workforce versus boomers in the workforce, and they can kind of look at it that way. And, statistically, that's kind of why they do it, but you're right. I mean, now with the OK Boomer shit and, like, my generation...
kind of funny and kind of mean.
Yeah, my generation's going to get shit on pretty soon because we fucked a lot of things up. Not as bad as the boomers, but...
No, that's for a whole different kind of podcast.
Yeah.
But I can say there's one thing that all generations like. Das football.
Yes.
So let's talk football
Let's
before
get in
you
there.
turn off your radios or click the link to a new podcast. And it is, like you said, week number
15.
All right. And with that being said, before we jump into picks, we are going to jump into results.
Oh, yeah, you want to do this? All right.
Yeah, kind of. We kind of do that.
Yeah, no, I know. I just I don't like talking about my failures in life, and this 7-game contest that we have is one of my great failures.
Well, then minimize your midget porn and read off my score.
Yeah, Aaron somehow inexplicably is still in the lead in this thing at 66 points.
2-5 last week. Didn't lose ground.
2-5, didn't lose ground, just absolutely sickening. Fake Token, who doesn't actually watch the NFL, is in second place at 61 points.
Oh, do tell. How'd you come to that conclusion?
I
think he probably watches it more than we do. I fall asleep in and out of the 1 o'clock games.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, I doze in and out. Especially, I mean, some of these this week are going to be clunkers too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a bunch that I think we're all on, that, or at least that we all have picks on that are going to be bad.
I will preface this by saying I made picks in some of those clunker games just to maybe have some interest in watching them.
Ah, okay. So yeah, Fake Token's in second place. I'm in third place at 59. Token bringing up the rear for the real
the
people
gap.
at 52 points. Yeah, he's getting in there, especially with a 5-2 week last week.
I would like to make a wager with you, sir.
All right.
Name your price, but if Token catches and passes you by week 17, you owe me your price.
No, I'm absolutely not doing that because I have to do fucking crazy money lines now to try to catch up with you and Fake Token.
Well, so does he. You think?
He's not, though. I have his picks. I know what he's doing. He's got 2 money lines, and one of them's not unreasonable.
All right, fair enough.
I've got 5.
Yes, you do.
And they're all bad. The dice are currently sitting at last place at 46 points. In the 3-gamer, however, not only am I in the lead with 23 points, I am the only one that is above 500 in that contest. So I feel a little bit better about that. The Tokens are both tied at 20 points apiece, so all it's going to take is one stinker from me and one good week from either of them, and they're going to catch up, and you are hopeless.
Yeah, because we got three weeks left, and I've got to be down by like at least 8.
You are down by 8 points. Yeah. So you need to go perfect.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah. So that's...
yeah, that's the weirdest thing. I still am baffled the fact that I am first in a 7-game contest and last in a 3-game contest.
Not just last. I mean, you're 5 points behind second place.
Yes, I'm aware. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure that you know that. So the only consolation I'm taking from this is that if I do brick the 7-gamer and win the 3-gamer, I have paid for the 7-gamer with the winnings from the 3-gamer.
Yes, because you will get 100 from the other 2. Assuming that I win the 7-game, you will pay me with that.
Yeah. So I break even for this, and then I just have to pay up on the MGM account unless I somehow go on a miraculous run and turn my...
Did we ever hear about what happened with Tony Johnson's... he had some round robins going. Did he win those?
I have no idea. Dude, you talk to him more than I do.
Maybe.
I mean, I get his picks, and that's literally it.
Well, we have a group chat on the text message, and I feel like it's just a you and me chat most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, Token's in love. We'll give him another 6 years of credit. He better marry this one if he's missing all these podcasts.
Yeah, no shit.
So,
your ass over here.
All right, so
tired of carrying this shit.
are... Is carrying the right word? I mean, come on, carrying, really? Shit. The producer does more than you do. And she's absent most of the time.
Yeah, she is.
All right, so let's talk picks. And I am super not confident this weekend, so that bodes well for you guys.
Not for me. I'm still going money lines. I'm still fucking swinging.
I'm surprised with only being down. Well, you're down 7? That you're swinging this far for the fences. And you guys will get these picks here in a little bit and know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah. I'm actually shocked only in week 15. That I could see week 16 you taking a huge shot, but I'm shocked that you're swinging for the moon on this week. I mean, if you somehow happen to bank like 3 or 4 of these, you could take the lead.
Oh yeah, and that's kind of the point is that I want to, if any of these hit, then, obviously that helps me make up ground. But it was more about, I knew that the other tokens were probably doing maybe not the same thing, but at least something similar where they were going to pick kind of crazy money lines, but I didn't know which ones they were going to target. Mm-hmm. So I figured I kind of had to take all of them so I could clear the tokens as well as try to catch up to you.
All right, fair enough. Let's do some picks here.
All right.
I know I've said that 4 times. This is for real.
Get into it.
All right, Tampa Bay and Detroit is our first game of the slate. Tampa Bay is a 6-point road favorite. Now, it has been announced that Jameis Winston has a fractured hand.
Yes, hairline fracture in the right thumb.
And he is going to play.
Yes.
And the line is going up. David, is it David? I think it's David Blau.
Who fucking cares?
The kid was a beast at fucking Ohio, God damn it, where did he play? Purdue. One of those 3 yards in a cloud of dust schools. So, yeah, I mean, he's not anything to write home about NFL-wise, but it'll be an interesting game. I mean, Tampa Bay has played well the last 3 weeks, actually 4 weeks. Jameis also has played well, despite got a lot of turnovers, man. He really just has a lot of turnovers. It's amazing to watch, because I watched a lot of that Indianapolis-Tampa Bay game last week, and it's amazing how he overcame 3 interceptions to beat a fairly decent Indianapolis team. I thought that was one of his better performances, and actually he's doing his best to make it very hard on Bruce Arians to decide on Jameis Winston's future in Tampa Bay. I will say that. I will give him credit. And I've been one of Jameis's biggest supporters since he's come into the league, obviously him being a Florida State guy. That being said, I'm going to err on the Purdue quarterback in this spot. I like taking the home points. I'm going to go with a combination of David Blau getting better week to week, generally, a steady running game, decent defense, and I'm gonna take what I believe is a better focused team at this point. And I know that sounds crazy, but Detroit needs a win really badly. They haven't won one in 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I don't doubt any of that. The problem is, I just don't think Blau is the guy to get them to that win.
Maybe.
And
that's fair.
It's just, I can't trust a team to win a game.
Remember, there's also no Mike Evans either.
Right, there's no Mike Evans.
So you put Slay on. Chris Godwin. I mean, there's not much else in the cupboard there for Jameis.
Right, which is why I'm not touching the side on this, but I am on the total.
Not touching the side, you're touching the top. Never mind. Okay, bad.
Jesus Christ, you and this shit. I just, when 2 bad teams are playing, I have to look for the better quarterback. And in this spot, the better quarterback, even with a broken hand, is Jameis Winston.
That's sad.
But it's not wrong.
You're correct. That is not wrong. However, I am all over the opposite side. Detroit +6 in the 7-gamer. Detroit +5.5 in the 3-gamer. And Detroit +210 on the money line. That one I don't feel quite as confident about, but I think this is a close game. Home cooking, Detroit. Matt Patricia's playing for his job, I believe. Detroit gets a narrow loss, hopefully a close victory.
I think this is like a 21-13 type game. I think it's just going to be, turnover after 3 and out, after 3 and out, after turnover. So I'm rolling with the under 46 in the 7-gamer and under 45.5 in the 3. I think this is a bad quarterback versus an injured quarterback is not the recipe for a 45-40 type game. So I'm comfortable, and I said this in the text that I am surprised that I'm the only one that's on this side for this total. Like the dice obviously.
Tampa Bay's been almost an auto over this year.
But with Jameis Winston with a broken hand and no Mike Evans, where's the offense coming from?
Fractured. And Chris Godwin can probably pick up the slack. As all the bad things I just said about Tampa Bay, why I want Detroit, it's hard to foresee a spot where if Jameis is playing, he's probably got to be able to throw the ball well enough. So I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. You're right. There's no weather here. We don't have a weather issue, obviously, because it's in a dome. And Tampa Bay's Tampa Bay's pass defense has been pretty poor. So if David Blau can have halfway decent game, I think I'm not saying you won't keep your under here. I just it's interesting that you did take the under, considering that Tampa Bay is 10-3 to the over this year, and Detroit gives up a lot of points. All right, let's see. The next game on the slate, Philadelphia and Washington. I took a very short look at this game because I think both teams have just an odor that why would I ever want to be laying money for or against either side here. This game just stinks to me.
And I could not agree more. And as much as I hate agreeing with you,
you love it.
Yeah, this is an absolute stinker. Terrible division, terrible teams. Is the NFC East going to send a team to the playoffs with a 7-9 record?
No, I think they'll send a team to the playoffs with an 8-8 record.
8-8, okay.
Yes, because we'll talk about it later. But quick preface: I think Rams beat Dallas today, win out, and win the division at 8-8.
So Dallas wins at 8-8. Okay,
that's what I think.
I don't necessarily disagree. I see all of these teams as not being good enough. And when the NFL has that automatic, win the division, you're in the playoffs format, I always wonder if a division that's this bad is going to send somebody in with a losing record, which we haven't. I know Seattle did it, a number of years ago, but at 7-9, I just forget how long ago it was.
I'll sweeten the pot for you.
All right.
I have in my hand $1 bill.
Okay.
I will wager that the NFC East champion will win a playoff game.
Oh, I'll take that bet.
All right, because you already owe me another $1 for that weird parlay we did like a couple weeks ago too. So.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
I don't think I have any singles on me.
Oh well.
I'll get you tonight.
Yeah. After you left Treasures, you probably were out. So. Eagles will have half of their roster either on IR or they're questionable right now. No Jordan Howard. Elson Aguilar is probably going to sit. He's got a bad knee and terrible hands. Lane Johnson out. Carson Wentz, I mean, with all due respect, a lot of people were ball washing him to the ends of the earth last week for coming back against the Giants and Eli Manning. Let's not sugarcoat it. That's not a good win.
Yeah.
I don't love anything about this game. If you had the gun to the head tactics, I would probably take 6.5 points at home with Washington, but I can't feel good about Dwayne Haskins either. He has not shown signs of improvement yet. But I'm going to play potential over what I've seen. Again, no play. I would probably take Washington with 6.5.
Yeah, no play for me either. Actually, I think every one of us that's a real person is staying off this game.
I'm a real boy.
The dice are on the over, and as much as I like to try to get into the head of the dice to figure out why they went with this pick, I don't know that I can justify, even with the line sitting at 39, it just seems like, it would have to all come from Philadelphia in order for that to hit.
Well, that's the thing, because I can't really see more than 21 out of Philly and more than 17 out of Washington, which is not enough, obviously.
Yeah.
If, 21 plus 17 equals 38. Washington's been steady at, just garbage. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting. Again, I don't want to be on any part of that game. Chicago and Green Bay. This is a very important game, especially, obviously, for Chicago. Green Bay wants to do everything they can to get home field advantage and secure a lot of playoff games at Lambeau because, obviously, you and I both know that playing at Lambeau for teams not named Green Bay is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, especially during the playoffs.
So, obviously, they're sitting in the number 2 seed right now, obviously one game behind Green Bay, technically 2 games with the loss head-to-head, 1 game behind, San Francisco. San Francisco beat Green Bay head-to-head, so I'm guessing they're going to get the 2 seed, which is going to give them at least 1 home game. Let's see, what do we got a line here? We have 4.5 in favor of the home team, total 40.5. I don't have a weather report. Let's check the injuries. We got anything major? I don't see anything major.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't recall hearing anything that's going to be that bad.
So we've got basically Aaron Rodgers versus Mitch Trubisky, who actually Mitch Trubisky's come along great lately. You should have told your wife to play him instead of Tannehill. I don't know why you were listening to me. Although Tannehill's had pretty good games too.
They're making the same decision this week too: is Tannehill, Trubisky, or Jameis Winston? Or not Jameis Winston.
Don't go with Jameis Winston.
What's his name? The Houston. Deshaun Watson.
First of all, who the fuck has 3 quarterbacks on their fantasy football roster?
Yeah,
you have to play 2? Is that what it is?
No, they're playing 1, and I think
this is the exact reason why you don't have that.
The Tannehill pickup was a late season pickup,
obviously,
and they dropped somebody that got hurt. I'd
like to meet the person who drafted Ryan Tannehill in fantasy football. I'm going to put that on Twitter as soon as I can to say I want to meet the person because obviously he wasn't the starter.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know why they've been rolling with the 3. I can't justify it because it's my wife and like 4 or 5 of the other broads that she works with that all kind of co-manage a team. They get together every Friday afternoon to meet to see who they're going to start for their team.
That's a disaster.
It's been bad, and like
it's been bad.
Some of the craziest things is that they will pick up guys, especially late in the draft, that they feel are good citizens. Like if they like their Instagram page, then they will draft them.
That's fair.
So it's kind of not the best fantasy football methodology. But yeah, they have that same Trubisky, Watson, or Tannehill decision this week.
In fairness, I was dating a girl in college, and I let her do NCAA brackets. And there was one year where Bradley beat Kansas. Or maybe they beat somebody else. But it was a team, Bradley. The Bradley Braves they were like a 13 seed. They beat a 4 seed. I think they beat Baylor, actually. And she had it. And I'm like, how the fuck did you pick it? She's like, well, that's what I want to name our first kid. So, I mean, don't underestimate the power of Instagram stalking.
Wow.
Is all I have to say. All right. So Chicago and Green Bay, 4.5. I don't have an official play on this. However, I see kind of the end of the line for Chicago. Not really sure on the spread. I'm thinking Green Bay kind of holds them at arm's length. I would probably take the 4.5. I would probably take Green Bay and lay the 4.5 in this spot. Chicago has been playing well of late, but again, it was against some subpar teams, Detroit and Dallas.
Yeah, and I think Green Bay, not only do they know that this is a division game, but they have to keep ground over New Orleans, who's playing a pretty weak Indianapolis team this week. So, Green Bay knows that this is a very, very important game for them in the standings. So I think they come out on fire. I checked the weather report. It looks like cold, about 20 degrees or so, maybe 25, but sunny. So, not expecting a huge amount of wind and no precipitation. I think this just plays right into to Green Bay's hands. I think they win easily. Now, that said, I'm taking Chicago money line because I need the bonus point.
So wing and a miss.
Yeah, so I don't expect Chicago to win, but again, I need to try to make up ground in this contest. So,
you ever watch wrestling?
Come on, Trubisky.
In like the 90s, late 90s?
More like 80s, but yeah.
Okay. Well, do you remember like Degeneration X?
Yeah, that was
probably a little after you started watching.
Yeah, that was after, but yeah, I know of them.
You get the gist.
Yeah.
So if Detroit ends up taking down Tampa Bay and Green Bay beats Chicago, for me to get the bonus point and you to lose, I'm going to send you the suck it gif. Because I know, I'm sure you're going to be like, fuck this, and you'll send your little tirade laced, and I want to change lines, and I should get that point. You'll send something if that goes wrong. So,
of course.
I'm just letting you know now. I'm just going to send that gif back to you.
All right,
cool. Good
Fair
talk.
enough.
You should actually see, if you guys are listening, our group text. It gets pretty vulgar.
Oh, yeah. It's
mostly you, but...
Well, yeah, and this is the thing. If that ever got released to the public, none of us would ever be able to run for office.
I'll just burn my server.
It's bad.
All right, New England. Oh, boy, are they the talk of the town.
They're on to Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati, yeah. And... well, what's on the tape, I guess? First off, the first thing that comes to mind with all this shit that's been going on is why the fuck would they tape Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. They're 1 in, 12?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine it would take too much work this week to game plan against the Bengals. That being said, there always does seem to be kind of a stink around this, whether you believe they did things in the past, whether you don't believe. The point being is that it does seem very odd that someone was there.
Yeah, the whole thing is just moronic, and like you said, if there's any team where they have to videotape, then it's not going to be Cincinnati, and it's just, the entire thing is asinine. Plus, for as much as people are talking about this, it's only because New England has the reputation, warranted or not, of doing this sort of thing in the past, where photos came out this week of when the Patriots and Jets played earlier this season, a guy in, full Jets regalia had a camera pointed directly at New England's sideline, and nobody has said anything.
Yeah, nobody cares. It's just like all those things. When Tom Brady talked about pressurized footballs, and Aaron Rodgers comes out and says, "I like them overinflated."
Yep.
Okay, cool, good talk.
Yep.
That was all the kind of the end of that. And then when the Falcons pumped crowd noise into their stadium, okay, cool, no big deal. So, anyways,
nobody said anything. It's just it's ridiculous. It's because it's come down to New England's been beating the shit out of these guys for 20 years, and they're looking for any and every excuse as to why this has been happening. And they can't do it on the field, so they're going to do it off the field.
Speaking of, I know you don't follow baseball too much nowadays, but you, of all people, might get a kick out of looking into the Astros cheating scandal.
I heard a little bit about that, yeah.
You should read a little more about that. It's an interesting one, especially banging trash cans, old school methods.
Man.
But anyways, New England is laying 10 on the road, total 41.5. How do you see this kind of going?
Yeah, I mean, New England's offense has obviously struggled. It's been, Brady's looked terrible in some games, and nobody can figure out if that's just game plan, if Brady is hurt, if the rookie receivers or, the young kids aren't running the right routes, or if Brady's age is just coming up to him. Something there is going on where they are just not playing well. They don't look good.
The bigger question to me is, and I've said this a couple times, and I know you've given an explanation. Not that I don't buy your explanation, it just seems very confusing to me that it seems to me that the Patriots offense, yes, Edelman's being covered like a 1 when he's not really a 1, but it seems like the Patriots offense is relying far too much on Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry rather than Edelman, Dorsett, and Sanu.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Stupid.
And the bigger problem is that without Gronkowski as the safety valve, it's not just that you lost Gronkowski, it's you've lost the ability to throw to a tight end because Lacoste isn't good enough. Watson's about 50, and I don't even remember the third guy's name, but I think he's been hurt for half the season anyway.
Kind of wonder if, I know this is obviously long, he's been gone for a while, but Jacob Hollister was in a Patriot uniform at one point too. He's doing pretty well in Seattle.
Yeah, as is Josh Gordon. And, at the beginning of the year, remember, the Patriots, eventually they got Antonio Brown, but they had Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman, Demaryius Thomas,
Demaryius.
The scrappy white kid that was running back punks, not Gunnar Olszewski, but another kid that they ended up cutting during training camp that also went to the Jets. Now I forget his name. But they had this plethora of receivers, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is an embarrassment of riches." And now look at this offense; it's going nowhere.
Yeah, slim pickings.
Yeah, it's frustrating as hell, and it's difficult. And
Speaking of, I'd like to see this, and this is obviously a talk for the offseason, but there's a guy in Tampa by the name of Cameron Brate I think Bill Belichick should make a move for. He's not Rob Gronkowski, but he's not Matt Lacoste.
Yeah, well, anything above Lacoste is going to be better for this Patriots team, especially if they want to.
I'm not sure his contract status. He may be a free agent, but Bill, if you're listening, and I know you are, you should take a look at Cam Brate.
All right, we'll pass that word along.
All right, so regarding this game, I am on the over 41, and I know that everything we just said with the offensive struggles, and obviously Cincinnati's 1-12. Dalton looked halfway decent against Cleveland, obviously not the same as New England's defense. I will make a bold prediction because I am on the over 41.5. I will give you my bold prediction of the week right now.
All right, let's hear it.
New England gets that by themselves.
Okay.
42-14.
42-14. Interesting. Okay. Both of the tokens are disagreeing with you, by the way. They are both on the under.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen out of Brady and what we've seen out of Cincinnati, I can't
swing.
I can't blame them. Was that?
I said good. 2-point swing.
Yeah.
No, it's just a 1-point swing. We don't negative points anymore.
I can't necessarily blame them for taking that, but I don't know. I'm actually with you because the mantra of this team has always been we're on to Cincinnati, we're on to Cincinnati after that famous Monday Night Football loss in Kansas City. And they went in and they just obliterated Cincinnati that following week. I think we see something similar. I think Brady is in fuck you mode. I think he is finally ready to start stepping up. This is where he finally gets his chemistry with the N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers of the world. And I'm actually rolling New England minus the 10.
There you go.
I think this is more like the Patriots that we saw in Week 2 with the 40-some-odd point shutout of Miami. That's the type of game plan I expect to see. That's the type of running it down their throat. If they're up 40 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I don't think they pull Brady. I think they leave him in there to get another one.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Houston at Tennessee. This is a huge battle in the AFC South. We talked about Ryan Tannehill. He's been playing fantastic. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, he's 8-1 as a starter, or 7-1 as a starter.
I don't know his record as a starter, but I know that the only quarterback throwing the ball better than him right now is Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy to think that things didn't work out in Miami under quarterback whisperer Adam Gase, but somehow under defensive guru Mike Vrabel, Ryan Tannehill has a resurgence. So that's football for you.
It's just unbelievable.
They are 3-point home favorites, total 51. I understand Tony Johnson is on the under in this one, and I tend to kind of lean towards him, even though I don't have an official play on this. This total seems high, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to look over here real quick. It is the highest of the week for two teams. I mean, obviously, Tannehill and the Titans scored 42 on the Raiders, but Denver, they got smoked last week, even though the score ended up looking more respectable in garbage time.
Yeah.
That's a high total. I don't know. It just seems high to me.
Yeah, and I think you're right, and I think that the garbage time last week is probably pushing this number up, so I don't blame...
Yeah, it's gone up 4 points.
Yeah, I don't blame anybody for trying to take the under in this spot, especially because I think Tennessee's defense is probably better than anything the Broncos are putting up right now. So that's... it should be good enough to keep Texas or the Houston in check in the game. This is a game that I actually wanted to put on the 7-teamer. If I were still closer in it, I would have put it on the 7-teamer. I do, however, have it on the 3-teamer. I have Tennessee minus the 3.5. I think they are just playing better right now. I think overall this is a better team, even though the records are both 8-5. We just talked about Tannehill playing well, and he is just unbelievable right now. He is going to get paid in the offseason if he keeps this shit up. Because
maybe.
Well, I know that
I wouldn't be shocked if they put the tag on him.
Oh yeah, that. I
mean, it's still getting paid, yes, but not getting paid like Brady Rodgers and Matt Stafford paid.
Yeah,
I wonder what the tag is. I don't know. I think it's like 23 or 24, which is huge.
Yeah,
or we're talking Ryan Tannehill here,
which is unbelievable.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they tagged him for a year or maybe 2 and said, hey, I get, you've been great for the last 9 weeks, but we want to see if you can do it for another year.
Yeah, and that makes sense. There's a note here that says Tannehill is the second quarterback in NFL history to produce a passer rating of 130 or higher while completing at least 75% of his passes in 3 straight games.
Wow.
How has that only happened one other time in history?
75% is a hard number to hit.
I know, but I mean that's...
The 130, it could happen. I mean...
That's the efficiency at which he's throwing the ball, though, which is just unbelievable. And he's not making mistakes, which is the other part of this.
Right.
So, this is a spot where if Tennessee controls the ball, which they absolutely can, they can, do whatever they want with it. I think this is a very good spot for Tennessee to to run away with it, and I got them winning by a touchdown in this one.
If Derrick Henry plays, he's questionable. Says
Yeah.
all signs point to go, but, questionable. What did we say questionable was? 50-50?
Yeah, about that.
Oh, 50-50.
That's what it used to be anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. We had that whole discussion on
I know.
percentages of injured reports. I think Derrick Henry is a huge reason why Tannehill has been so great the last 2-3 months. But we will move on from that game and move into Seattle and Carolina. Now, I love Russell Wilson. I just don't love when he travels east because it doesn't always go well statistically for Seattle. Ultimately, I stayed off this game. The number is 6 in favor of the Seahawks, total 49.5. I got to think, I talked all that game about Carolina winning one with, the replacement coach. We talked about historically across the 4 sports. I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here.
All right, let's hear it.
I think Carolina threw the game as a revolt for firing Ron Rivera.
Really?
They looked wholly uninspired.
Wow. I actually didn't catch too much of the game last week, so I can't comment one way or the other on that. But
Tinfoil hat, but they look.
Well, and I
garbage.
know how popular Ron Rivera is. People love that riverboat run, and let's face it, this is a team that at the beginning of the year looked like they were going to compete for a division. Now they're playing for nothing except McCaffrey's MVP shot, which is probably gone anyway because of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, kudos to him on his season, but he's not taking home that hardware.
Yeah, so that's really the only thing they have left to play for. So I don't know if throwing the game on purpose maybe it is, but I think it's more just they don't give a shit anymore.
6-1 at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Seattle's going to walk over there. They're clearly the better team, even if Carolina was giving it their all. Total 49.5 in this spot. Again, I'm not on it. You on it?
No. There's somebody's on it. Let me see here. Dice are on Carolina plus the 6, and Token has Seattle minus the 6. Oh, and Fake Token's on the under, 49.5. So
there you go. Yeah,
everybody not in studio is on this game.
As much praise as I gave Kyle Allen to start the season, and obviously I told you that I thought he'd win more games than Cam Newton. He has looked very putrid the last month, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they don't give Will Grier a chance, the rookie out of West Virginia.
May as well at this point.
Yeah, he got 3 weeks. Give him a shot. Especially against the defense that's semi-good. Maybe they don't because Seattle's good. I don't know what they have left. They're obviously going to have one division game left. My guess it's going to be against Tampa. I don't have their schedule particularly in front of me, the Panthers. But luckily for fast internet, I can pull it up. They've got Indianapolis and New Orleans.
Oh, that's a shit way to end the season for them.
But I would still go with...
I would start Grier in
because
16,
especially,
17.
Although they're your foes, maybe you can help New Orleans get the number 1 seed or have a shot at getting the number 1 seed by putting Will Grier out there and sucking. I don't know. Tinfoil hat again.
Yeah.
But, at some point, he's going to have to play competition.
Yeah, and... this is a team that, like I said, has absolutely nothing left to play for. So
5 straight losses. That's ugh.
Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't put somebody else out there to see what you got. See what the future holds for you.
I was really high on Kyle Allen, and I've sank back down. So, all right, let's move on to Denver at Kansas City. Line is currently at the Westgate -9 in favor of the Chiefs, 44.5. Did that move since the last time we talked?
Might have. I feel like somebody was on that total. Let me look here. 44.5?
Yeah.
No, that's what we locked in.
Okay. All right. So that being said, Denver, we talked about them earlier. They put a whoop on the Houston Texans last week. You say whoop or whooping? Whooping, right?
Yeah, if they're putting it on, it's a whooping.
Whooping, okay. And if there it is, then it's just whoop.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Us millennials are weird.
Yes, you are.
So Mahomes and his Mahomies at home against Denver. I think this is a classic spot where some people that don't have Denver on their do not bet list would be like, well, if they can do it, they can walk into Houston and do it. They can walk into Kansas City and do it. I am taking the Denver game. I am again. What do you call the word? Foregoing the DNBL and betting on the Denver game. However, I am laying the wood and saying Kansas City puts a whooping on them.
Okay.
I'm taking -9 in this spot.
And I can't blame anybody for taking Kansas City in this spot. You know, after beating New England with a vastly superior defense to Denver, trying to lay the 9 at home seems like it makes sense, especially against Drew Lock. This is not a game that I'm touching, but I think if I had to, gun to the head type thing, I would probably go with you.
Opened up at 13, it's come down 4 points. So that means obviously the action and the money is coming in on Denver. I want to be on the opposite side.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. But Kansas City at home, I think, is formidable. I just not a game that I felt comfortable with. Fake tokens on this one at under 44.5. Apparently, no faith in Lock to catch up with what Mahomes does. Real token is on this game too.
In fairness, Drew Lock's looked pretty good the last 2 weeks.
He
too.
really has.
I think he's gonna have a bad week this week.
I mean, maybe. I just, Kansas City's defense has never impressed me, even with that win over New England last week.
Is Arrowhead the home field advantage it used to be? The stadium, I mean? Obviously.
Yeah, I think the crowd noise is going to affect Drew Lock and his ability to change the play at the line. I just don't think that Kansas City does enough to force quarterbacks to change the play at the line.
Okay, fair. I thought Kansas City's defense overall has looked fairly decent this year.
Yeah, no, they've looked better than they have in years past. If they had this defense last year, then they were in the Super Bowl last year.
If they just line up on sides, they're in the Super Bowl.
No, that's also a good point.
Who else is on this game?
Token is on this one twice. He's got Denver plus the 9 and swinging for the fences with Denver money line at plus 400.
And that's worth what? Sorry, I yawned.
I forget. 3 extra points? 4 extra points? Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's going to lose it anyway.
Actually, speaking of, I can check that now because our Twitter got reactivated.
Oh, yes, finally.
So, weird thing about it, though, since my Twitter got reactivated, or our Twitter got reactivated.
Yeah.
It says I only follow 8 people. However, when I click on people I know I follow, like other than the 8 people it still says I'm following them, too.
That's strange.
It is weird. So, but I will go to our profile, and 425 is worth 3 extra bonus points.
This is 400.
Also worth 3 extra bonus
okay.
points. Yeah. 500 and higher would be the next threshold.
Gotcha.
So, let me pull my picks back up so I don't forget. Where are we? So yeah, so Token's swinging for the fences with a 5-point swing there. Yeah,
he's really he's going for it, and more power to him for trying it. I don't think this is the right spot for it, but hey.
Oh yeah, especially like I said, I'm feeling a KC blowout in this spot.
Well, it's crazy too because looking at Insider, Westgate is the only one that has this at 9. Everywhere else is 9.5 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's correct.
If you're looking at a spot to, get the extra points, Westgate is the worst book to do it in. Get it at MGM
kind of ironic,
or wherever.
too.
Yeah.
Usually, some of those some of those books are the more, I guess I'll go cautious. When it comes to, they would be the ones I would expect to be at 9 more so if they felt like they needed Denver to win. So Kansas City goes Denver, Chicago, and LA going back. So they got a good shot at maybe going for the 2 seed. What are they right now? 8-4, 9-4.
Yeah,
9-4.
9-4 with the win over New England. So that's going to play big in the tiebreakers.
And a win over Baltimore if somehow that becomes a factor.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll get the number 1 seed, but they may have an outside shot at number 2 if somehow New England goes. What do they got left? That Buffalo game might be big for both the division and the 2 seed.
And I was trying to figure it out because
what is the tiebreaker?
It's within the division, and assuming New England. Well, New England's not playing in the division, neither is Buffalo. But when they meet next week, if New England loses, then they have the same division record, and then it's record against common opponents, which I haven't bothered to read up yet. So basically, but as a New England fan, I need Buffalo to lose this game to Pittsburgh because New England beat Pittsburgh in Week 1, and that's going to help with the tiebreaker situation later on.
Also, the fact that in Week 17 they both have division games as well, too.
Yes.
Buffalo will play the Jets.
And New England gets Miami.
Yep. Okay, so let's move forward to, speaking of Miami.
Hey!
Miami gets two games back-to-back in MetLife against the... I will tell you what, I was sweating that Jets-Dolphins game when Miami took the lead. I had the Jets minus 5.5, which obviously was dead unless somehow they got a touchdown. But, Token had fucking Miami plus and the money line. He could have gotten a 4-point swing on me in that spot.
Yeah, that was nuts.
A little bit.
And I had Miami money line last week as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
So that was
or
multiple people.
I don't know if it was on this contest, but I definitely had it on a parlay. And the Jets got that. What was it? Last-second field goal and
the goddamn Jets.
Yeah, the goddamn Jets fucking everything up for everybody, including their fans,
except me. Because even though I lost the 5.5, you guys didn't get the money line.
That's true.
All right, so the Giants, 3-point favorites. 46.5 is the total. My guess is that I haven't seen who's going to play quarterback for the Giants. It looks like it's going to be Eli again.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones is ruled out.
This is Eli's last home game as a Giant, so I think no matter what, he was going to play this game. Even if Jones was healthy, I think they still put Eli in just as the swan song so he could wave goodbye to all the fans.
And you know what the thing is at this very moment, Eli Manning's career record is 116 wins and 117 losses.
Which is baffling to me that people still say he's a Hall of Famer.
He is, unfortunately, because of those two Super Bowls.
I don't buy it. He's under 500. Even if he wins this game, he's 500.
I agree. I don't think he should be in, but I think he will get in because of who he beat and the name on the back of his jersey.
God, makes you sick.
I would agree, but I think that I stayed away from this game. However, I think Eli gets back to 500.
Yeah, and
real analysis. That's my hunch.
You might be right. I am taking Miami money line just because they are just at the threshold for the extra bonus point. So I figured it's worth a shot. Fake Tokens agreeing with me on that one, so feel a little bit better about that. But yeah, this is just not a game that's going to be worth watching unless you're either a Giants or Eli Manning fan and you want to see his final home game.
Or you're trying to catch the greatest capper in Vegas Squares history by betting Miami money line. I'm the greatest capper in Vegas Squares history.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm searching for a repeat here.
All right. Yeah, we'll see. I still have a better win-loss record than you, even in the 7-gamer. You're just getting the bonus points at the opportune times.
Sports betting is not always about your win-loss record. It's about finding value in sometimes plus money, like that Falcons game.
That Falcons game fucking killed me.
Falcons game might win me the title here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Eli one more time here before we move on. Yes or no, this is Eli Manning's last game in the NFL?
No. No. I think it's his last game with the Giants. I don't think it's his last game in the NFL. I think he signs a 1-year deal to go somewhere else to see if he still has it. And he'll take a team that, is somewhere in the 4-12 range to like a 7-9 range before he hangs it up.
Well, that's going to be an interesting thought process because I'm not sure who he would even go to. The only team that ironically comes to mind when you say that is the team who originally drafted him.
Oh, and he looked so happy on draft day too, didn't he?
I mean, I got to think. Well, in fairness, if LA Chargers are moving on, they're not moving on to Eli Manning. So that's probably a bad setup. The only other team I can think of would probably go with Gardner Minshew over Eli Manning next year. Yeah. But Tom Coughlin's in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
You get him a stopgap, maybe hopefully have him go 3-13 next year, get the number 1 pick, and take Trevor Lawrence 2 years from now.
I mean, that's It's a possibility. The other thing,
Or you send them to Cincinnati, hoping they go 1-15 again.
I think he either Cincinnati's a possibility. What about Denver? I know that they signed the big deal with Flacco, but do you think Flacco is really the right guy for that?
The only reason I can see Eli Manning going to Denver is that John Elway has a free pass for life.
That's
and he
true.
will never get fired no matter what quarterback he brings in.
That is very
and
true.
I've said this, I'm starting to believe that he doesn't, because of all the success he saw with Peyton Manning, he will never bring in another quarterback that would even come close to sniffing John Elway's legacy. It's starting to look that way, right?
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling as well.
So, all right, moving on to... I guess we are moving on. Didn't we get a flex game? Oh, it got flexed to the 1 o'clock slot. So
yeah.
We'll move into the later slate. Jacksonville and Oakland. Speaking of Jacksonville, Oakland is a 6.5-point favorite at home. The last game in the Oakland Coliseum for the Raiders. Asterisk, I'll believe it when I see it, when they play it down here in Las Vegas. You can sell all the fucking license plates you want. I don't care. Until they play it down here, I will believe it when I see it. Jacksonville, to me, has given up.
Yeah. No, they absolutely
46.5 is the total.
They absolutely have. They have no fire. This defense is terrible when it was supposed to be the highlight of the team. Quarterback play has been garbage. Well, Minshew's looked good at times, I guess. But it's not a team that I feel confident in. That said, I'm taking Jacksonville money line because it's worth 2 bonus points.
You're swinging for the fences.
But yeah, I have no confidence, no faith in this team to be able to pull out a victory here. It's not a good spot for them, especially against a team in Oakland that has been kind of bipolar this year. But I think this is a game where Oakland, if they are legit, this is a game where Oakland should run away with it and win by 10 points or more.
Yeah, and while they're theoretically in the hunt for a playoff spot, I'm going to go ahead and virtually eliminate the Raiders unless chaos ensues, because obviously the winner of the AFC South, or excuse me, the runner-up of the AFC South is probably going to have a good enough record to also make the playoffs as well. I don't know if I have faith in the Steelers to continue this, although I do think Mike Tomlin right now is Coach of the Year. That being said, Raiders are theoretically eliminated, at least in my mind. However, I am going to take Oakland minus 6.5 because I believe that they're going to want to send out that Oakland crowd correctly. I believe all of the old Raiders are going to be there this weekend. I think it's going to be a big, mushy Raider fest. Couple that with a team who's given up, who has to travel all the way west. And for what? I mean, no DJ Chark. You're going back to Minshew. Doesn't seem like the magic's there. They got curb stomped by Phillip Rivers and the Chargers last week. Oakland by 10. I don't know, pick a something. 24-14, give or take.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if those 2 touchdowns that I'm projecting for Jacksonville came via Leonard Fournette, because I could really use him in my championship semifinal round in my big money league. So, Leonard, if you're listening.
Yeah, I'm hoping for garbage time from Josh Jacobs, because he's actually looked decent. This is a good
Is he going to play this week? Because I know he was questionable again. I didn't know.
He was game time and ruled out very last second last week, which fucked me up.
He's listed as questionable now, and he says, as of now, he plans to be in the Raiders lineup. I don't know when this was written. This is Yahoo's injury report as of yesterday. So I'm going to say he'll probably be a go, but at the same time, they're the late game, so it would depend on a lot of what happens early, too. If they get theoretically eliminated, they may sit him because he's obviously the future.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. Anybody else on this?
That's a good question.
What, stat boy?
Yeah, I probably should have looked. You got Oakland minus 6.5. No. Oh, the dice are agreeing with you.
Okay.
So
I can live with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a push.
Again, so we talked about these late games being boring. That could be one of them. The next one, Cleveland at Arizona.
This fucking game.
Interesting note, though. The last 2 quarterbacks to win Heisman trophies are going to play in this game.
Hey!
I'm just trying to look for something to make you want to watch the NFL.
I mean, the only thing about this that could make it interesting is the fact that Kitchens has been or was on the Arizona staff for however many years. So he's probably going to be able to game plan for this game better than any other game. But the problem is he's a terrible coach, and he's not going to be able to get his team ready for this game.
That and the staff he was on is no longer in Arizona.
You're right. So it's just...
but they are 3-point favorites, and the total is 49.5.
What about this Cleveland team makes you think they deserve to be favored in any game?
The Arizona team might be worse.
Are they, though? Maybe.
That's the question, though. On a neutral field, you're saying that Cleveland's a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what Vegas is saying. I have a play in this.
Yeah, I know you do.
And I'm kind of believing in you. This game is the Pits. And I'm kind of hoping that the offensive mindset of both of these teams is fumble, drive long, fumble, drive long, fumble, drive long, miss field goal, drive long, fumble, drive long, halftime, drive long, field goal. I'll give them a field goal. Drive long, turnover on downs, drive long. You get the gist.
Yeah.
Under 49.5 for both my 7 and my 3. The only offensive bright spot I'd like to see is Nick Chubb for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this game, both in betting and for my sanity. I just think that this is going to be a game that's not worth watching, a game where the NFL should refund anybody who actually bought tickets to this dumpster fire.
Speaking of dumpster fire,
yeah,
this game may be that, but have you ever been to this stadium? It's very nice.
I have heard that. So I went to a hockey game, and the hockey arena is just like right across the street or right
effectively, yeah,
next door. And
a 5-minute walk.
I love that little area they got set up with all
center?
with all the restaurants, movie theater, shopping. Like there was a great
nice
pizza joint in there. At least 4 or 5 years ago when I was there. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed what they did out there. Now, unfortunately, it's so far out of city center that nobody gives a shit. Nobody goes there.
Correct. As far as, yes, downtown Phoenix, it is 20 minutes away. I actually have been to downtown Phoenix. We went to a Diamondbacks game, and we went to a Foo Fighters concert downtown Phoenix. I prefer the Glendale area. I like that little niche right there. But you're right. It's tough to fill the arena for Coyotes because the games are, throughout the week. But they do a good job on Sundays of filling that arena or filling that football stadium even with a bad team. But it is a beautiful stadium. Unfortunately, it has to host this game. Anybody else?
Yeah. No, you're the only sucker that took this game.
All right. Still won't watch it. Atlanta and San Francisco. Another double-digit spread. San Francisco's laying 10, 48.5. Another team who I thought gave up. Atlanta. They are a tough one to bet. They're not quite on my DNBL, but they remind me a lot of Denver.
Yeah, and this is a team where Matt Ryan is just putting up points like, what's his name? The guy in Detroit that keeps getting hurt.
Matt Stafford?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So, he's putting up numbers left and right. And even when this team, when they, I think, only had one win on the season, Matt Ryan was statistically the best quarterback in the NFL at that point. It's just this team, they apparently can only play defense like twice a year, and one of those times was that game where you fucking picked a money line against New Orleans, and they ended up winning that one. So, in that spirit,
if that happens and I end up winning this contest by that money line, I'll send Mr. Ryan $5.
In that spirit, I am taking Atlanta money line in this game.
You're the worst kind of human.
No, I don't think they can win necessarily unless everything goes right for them. If their defense shows up and plays like they're capable of playing, if Matt Ryan plays like he's capable of playing, if they can start putting up yards and kind of get around that vaunted San Francisco defense, that I think not only do they keep it close, but I think they actually could pull out a win. Now, obviously, on the road, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. And Atlanta has not been playing great. San Francisco knows that they need this game in order to not only keep stay ahead of Seattle, but they also need to stay ahead of New Orleans and Green Bay, who is also going to be snipping at their heels for that conference. So I think San Francisco gets up for this game, but I think this is going to be funner, more exciting game than people may be looking for, especially with a very good team going against a team with a very bad record.
Well, that, and you could find a good spot here like I did earlier against New Orleans because the 49ers are going to be missing 6 defensive starters or rotational guys, highlighted by D. Ford, Richard Sherman, and Jaquiski Tart. Those are all pretty big injuries.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure. Let me check the standings here real quick. Oh, no, they only have a 1-game lead, and the Seahawks have the tiebreaker. I was going to say they may kind of put it in neutral here today, but I don't think they can afford to. It could be a spot for a letdown game, especially after the game of the year, what many say was the New Orleans Saints-San Francisco game last week.
Yeah, that was a fun one, too.
So you could be in a ripe spot with Atlanta for a letdown here by the San Francisco 49ers. I pray that it doesn't happen, but I'm sure you pray that it does.
Yeah, and if it does, I'm right back in this thing, and then I can spend weeks 16 and 17 actually picking real games as opposed to these fucking swinging for the fences money lines.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. Some of these games you're picking, well, it's the NFL. So anything is possible. All right, let's move forward to L.A. and Dallas. I had a really hard time. This was one of my last ones out. LA is a 1.5 point favorite on the road against Dallas, who I believe they're 6-7.
Yep. And
in first place in the NFC East.
Oh God,
total is 48.5. You know, I may be the only person in America to say this, but I don't think Jason Garrett should lose his job.
Yeah, I think you're the only one in America to say this.
He's not the only problem. I think he's not helping the problem, but I think there's a lot bigger fish to fry. I feel like even though the stats are kind of there, Zeke's got fat and happy on his contract. Amari Cooper is constantly hurt. He's got a nagging knee injury. The defense, DeMarcus Lawrence got a fat contract. He's playing well, but a lot of the other guys are either getting hurt or underperforming. Again, I know that ultimately falls on the head coach, but if these guys get in the playoffs and win the division, I don't think he should be fired. Even if they don't win a playoff game. I don't think he should be fired. I don't think he is not the problem, nor is he a major problem.
But I think the thing is, they've obviously got the quarterback they want. They've got the running back they want. The offensive line, while it's aging, is still the offensive line they want.
I don't believe they got the quarterback they want.
You don't think that Dak is the guy?
This was the show me year, and they're 6-7.
Yeah, well, I that's fair.
I think they're going to get stuck with this quarterback.
Yes,
because they don't want to pay Zeke, pay Amari Cooper, and then draft a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a tough sell for them, especially to their fan base. I don't know.
I just say he gets tagged. 100% he gets tagged next year.
I feel like this is a team where if you put in the right head coach, I think they could be, easily 11-5, especially in a division that's as down as the NFC East this year.
But is that the difference maker right now? Coaching?
I think it's got to be a huge part of it. Yeah.
I mean, I will say this: there was some poor coaching decisions in the New England game, but ultimately, I think yes, coaching. I think the offensive coordinator Kellen Moore has been making rookie mistakes.
Yes,
he'll learn.
Yeah,
he'll learn from that, and I think Garrett can coach him up. Is Jason Garrett the coach of the Cowboys next year? Regardless of what happens.
Regardless of what happens,
playoffs or not.
No, I think it is going to be dependent on playoffs or not.
I will say he's coach of the Cowboys next year, no matter what.
Okay. It'll be interesting. If they miss the playoffs and he's still the head coach, then that'll be interesting.
He may not be the head coach at the end of next year, but yeah. I think he's the coach at the start of next year. That being said, your thoughts on this game?
So, this is a game I didn't necessarily want to touch, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized I think the Rams are just slightly the better team, and I think Garrett is too prone to making mistakes for me to trust Dallas. stayed off it on the 7-gamer because obviously the money line wasn't good enough for me to risk it. But I do have them on the 3-gamer with the Rams minus the 1.5. And I just have to put all my eggs in the basket of next week with the Rams playing San Francisco. I need the Niners to win that game in order to win my futures bet of the Rams under 10.5 wins. So really, really, really need one more loss out of this team. I don't think it comes against Dallas. It definitely doesn't come in Week 17 against Arizona, so I need that loss to San Francisco next week. But right now, I just think, as up and down as McVay and Goff have been, I think they are.
How gross would that be if you got the under by them being 10-6?
Yeah, I would love it. So
obviously, nobody likes to lose bets.
Yeah, and I've got under 10 for Kansas City, so I've still got the opportunity for a push there. It's going to be difficult for me to even push that one, but
yeah, they're going to need to go 0-3.
Yeah, so
to win. I too am on LA in this spot. We talked about it earlier. I think Dallas loses this game, wins out against Washington and Philadelphia to win the division, and I will say, as it stands right now, they're 4th, so they would play the 5 seed, who is the Seahawks, who came in there and beat them in the wild card round last year. Or no, they beat the Seahawks. I'm going to say that matchup happens again, and the Cowboys beat the Seahawks again.
Wow,
wild card round.
Bold.
I'm sorry, Russ. I apologize.
Yeah.
I still love you, boo.
God, you're going for a quickie marriage and quickie divorce with Russ there.
Yeah, well, not really sure how to respond to that. Minnesota and LA, moving on. Buddy and I talked about this, and he's a Minnesota Vikings fan, and he tries to remain objective, but his first initial thoughts were, how the hell is Minnesota only favored by 1.5 here? Total is 45.5. And I said, because Vegas is way smarter than you and I.
Yep.
Doesn't mean I still know what side to take.
Yeah, and this has been kind of a weird season for the Chargers. They are now definitively on my do not bet list. I don't know what to make of them whatsoever. I think Cousins has been playing pretty well.
He's been playing very well.
Yeah, but obviously at 9-4, if they're only favored by 1.5, there's something. It's got to be about Cousins, because it can't be about Rivers as to why this line is so low.
Well, I mean, it'd be a late game for them. You got to go to the West. I don't know how well Minnesota's fan base would travel out to L.A., so L.A. might theoretically get a home game here in this spot. The one thing I see that benefits Minnesota is that the thing they do the best subsequently matches the thing that LA does semi the worst, and that's, obviously, we know Minnesota runs the football well.
Yep.
And LA is 23rd in the NFL in stopping the run. So obviously, Bosa and Ingram, if they're passing the Vikings, that they're going to be phenomenal pass rushers. So I think Minnesota, Dalvin Cook has a big game, 120 and 2 touchdowns.
Hey, I like that.
No official bet, but I think Minnesota gets the win by 6 to 10 points.
Yeah, I think part of the reason this line is skewed as it is because of the way the Chargers played last week. Putting up 45 against Jacksonville, which, it doesn't make me feel good. It's not a line that I'm willing to go after. So I stayed away from this one as well. There's a little bit of action here. Token is taking the Chargers plus 1.5. So in our fade the fuck out of Token hashtag, this is a good spot for you to hammer the Vikings. And also the dice are on the under in this game. And that's sort of an interesting spot because obviously neither of these teams are going to put it up by themselves. So it's going to come down to, can Phillip Rivers get the offense moving enough to put up points to get to that 45.5 number?
Yeah, it is kind of a weird number because you can see this game kind of being 28-24, but at the same time I can see this game being 19-16.
Yeah, no, easily.
So, all right, and the flexed night game is Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. This is a huge game, and I think that obviously the NFL knows that. That's why they flexed it to the night, Sunday night. Again, I'll say it again. Mike Tomlin, at this point, Coach of the Year.
Probably.
You may disagree with that.
No, I what he has been able to do with this team and actually keep them in the hunt is remarkable. Now that they're on quarterback number 7, 8, something like that.
Theoretically, they're on their third quarterback to play, but their fourth quarterback. The start of the year is their fourth quarterback.
Yeah, and what's his name? The Duck is just.
I love him.
He's great. He's been playing phenomenal football, and there's very little that you can say about it. It's just. I like what he's doing. I like what this team's doing. This defense is better than people expected it to be. And, it sitting at 8-5, I mean, that's just unbelievable for a team whose, superstar Hall of Fame quarterback went down in week, what? One. Yeah, I think he got hurt against the Patriots and tried to play week 2 and couldn't.
Yeah, and, I mean, if the Steelers can get James Conner back, he's questionable this week, but I think if they can get him back, that'll be huge. They've done all this without Juju. I mean, that was the guy who was supposed to take Antonio Brown's fill Antonio Brown's shoes.
Yeah.
Is it weird to think, as high as I've been on Josh Allen, I feel more confident in Devlin Hodges right now? I'm not saying Josh Allen's a bad quarterback. I think he's played well. I think, obviously, I totally believe Buffalo can win this game. I don't have a play on it, but I would take Pittsburgh. Probably just a money line in this spot. I know it's only 1. 1.5 in some places. I would probably just lay an extra 10 cents and avoid the push. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
What do you think about this total? 36.
Yeah, that total is it's so low, but I think that is, third or fourth string quarterback versus, somebody that I don't think a lot of people have faith in Josh Allen, and he has been playing up and down so much this year that I don't necessarily blame them. They're Buffalo's only putting up 21 points a game. Pittsburgh's putting up 18.5. That's the Pittsburgh is putting up 20. So, it should be maybe a 21-20 type game.
I lean
theoretically,
over. Yeah, I lean over kind of like that.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. This is not a game that I have any confidence in. I might throw Buffalo on a parlay just so I have them, or maybe on a teaser or something like that. But this is just such a weird spot in a game that's going to be huge that I think a lot of people are going to want to watch, and I'm glad that the league flexed this game.
I was just going to say that. I can't speak for America, but I'm kind of excited to watch this.
Yeah, I am very, very happy to watch this game. And usually on big Sunday night games, I don't typically tune in. Actually, I won't be able to tune in because the Knights are at home against Vancouver, so I'm not going to get home until well after halftime for that one.
Speaking of, I know obviously if you're familiar with our podcast, we record this on Saturday mornings. I have tickets to that game as well that I have decided to make a part of the Chai Poker silent auction.
Oh.
So this does you no good if you're listening on Sunday because they've already been given away. So really that's the end of that story. There's really not much more I can say because as you're listening to this, that's already happened.
Yeah.
And let me be the first to say it was a great turnout, better than I can have ever imagined.
Yeah, wonderful event. Well done, Ben.
Speaking of, let's try to make this a present tense, past tense conversation. As we sit here, I actually won a free entry into that tournament, so I will be playing for free.
Ah, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I can't complain because last time they had one of these, I won one of the cash raffle drawings, which paid for my entry, so I free rolled that one.
There you go. So as a thank you, I decided to donate Sunday's tickets to the silent auction.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, I'm not nice often, so
yeah,
but it's for the kids. All right, let's move on to that last game before we wrap up here. Indianapolis and New Orleans. As interesting as this game seems, I'm not too crazy about wanting to watch this game. I don't know why, but I mean, I know, Indianapolis is. Are they pretty much out? I mean, let's take a look at playoff picture.
Yeah,
here.
they've looked bad the last couple of weeks. So
they're 6-7. If we've ruled the Raiders out, I guess we've got to rule the Colts out. Even though the Colts theoretically could win the division if things go very poorly for the Texans, the Titans, but I got to imagine Texans or Titans, the winners in the driver's seat at 9-5.
Yeah, and the Colts, at this point, the only division game they have left is Week 17 against Jacksonville. But in the meantime, obviously New Orleans this week and Carolina the next. So, we'll see.
Let's see. I mean, let's check the division. Let's check the head-to-head. Let's see. They won and then lost against Tennessee, and then they won and then lost against Houston. So we'd have to go look at different tiebreakers.
Yeah,
so
that's.
They may not be mathematically out, but they're a long shot. But I'll give them kudos. I mean, to be able to weather the storm, if somehow they can find their way to like an 8-8 season with, Andrew Luck basically, springing a huge bit of news on them.
Yeah, that was rough. But yeah, if they can go 8-8, more power to them. Last 3 weeks have been tough, losing to the Texans and the Titans and the Buccaneers, and now having to travel to New Orleans to play the Saints. This is not a spot that's great for Indianapolis, especially with is T.Y. Hilton still hurt?
Yeah, I believe. I don't know. I would imagine they'll shut him down for the rest of the year. Let me check the injury report here. Where did it go?
Oh. Yeah. Well, whatever.
Oh wait, Monday night. So they can't. They have not officially released an injury report, but
okay.
He has not played in a very long time.
Yeah. So it's just not a spot that I think Indianapolis really can succeed. New Orleans is playing out of their minds, and again, we know that they are in the driver's seat in the South. They need more wins in order to catch up with the San Franciscos and Green Bays of the world in order to get that bye week for the playoffs, which is so important for an aging quarterback like Drew Brees. That said, I am taking Indianapolis money line in this game because why the fuck not? Swing for the fences and just hope the brisket man there can work some magic in a dome, but. Yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence in this game.
Yeah, and I think Indianapolis, unless they decide to shift gears, they're stuck with Brissett for another 2 years.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's team friendly, so they could use a lot of that. I mean, injuries have bitten, like you said. T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack missed a few weeks that were key there, and you talked about them losing the last 3 games. I am on this game as well. I am taking the under. 46.5. I think Indianapolis has run out of gas. Obviously, that would thwart your money line. I'm going to say New Orleans in a blowout. 28-3, 28-10, something like that.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. This is a swing for the fences pick.
I'm aware of that. Well, I'm hoping you swing and miss.
Yeah.
So, all right, I gave you my bold prediction. You have anything for me?
You took my New England gets the over by themselves pick, so I will say we see 2 dogs of plus 200 or better win.
That's not bold. You're praying for that, but okay, well, yeah, I'll let you have it.
I mean, it is bold to say that 2 dogs that are that plus 200 or more actually win outright. I think that's bold enough to say, and we're not doing it for bonus points anyway, so fuck you.
That's fair. Right, that puts a bow on week number
15.
So let's recap the picks. I will start with mine. For the 7 and the 3, I am taking Detroit plus 6. I'm also taking Detroit on the money line, plus 210, hoping for another bonus point there. So I will take one of those plus 200 or more to beat Detroit. New England and Cincinnati. New England gets the over by themselves. Cincinnati, thank you for showing up. Here's your parting gifts, over 41.5. Kansas City minus 9 over the Denver Broncos. Oakland closes out the Coliseum with a 10-point victory covering the 6.5-point spread. Cleveland and Arizona, they'll be lucky to get my attention for 3 seconds or less, but they will go under 49.5 for both my 7 and my 3. And also for my 7 and my 3, Indianapolis and New Orleans. New Orleans blows out Indianapolis 28-10, being under 46.5.
I'm just going to go ahead and give you the point for that Cleveland, Arizona under 49.5 right now.
Ready to go with that?
Yeah, the more I think about it, there's no possible way either of these teams crack 20 points.
Anybody want to, since you're the only one here, anybody want to give me an extra bonus point if they go under 30?
No.
Fuck you. All right, your picks.
My picks, I have Tampa and Detroit staying under the total of 46. I have New England blowing out Cincinnati -10. I think they can probably win this game by 30. Chicago moneyline +180. Miami moneyline +150. Jacksonville moneyline +250. Atlanta moneyline, fingers crossed, at +425. And Indy moneyline at +350. I'm swinging for the fences in the 7-gamer. 3-gamers, a little more grounded. Tampa Bay and Detroit, I'm sticking with that under 45.5. Obviously getting the half point in the wrong direction.
Right.
I also have the Titans beating the Texans, Tennessee -3.5, and I have the Rams beating the Cowboys -1.5. Going to the dice, baby. They have Philadelphia and Washington going over the total of 39. Is that the only over bet? Oh, no, you have over
I got over in
Cincinnati.
the New England, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we know Tony Johnson just regurgitates unders.
Yeah, he's just under. So, let's see. Houston and Tennessee under 51. The dice also have Carolina +6. They have Denver and Kansas City staying under the total of 44.5. They have Oakland -6.5. They have Dallas +1.5. And they have Minnesota and the Chargers staying under 45.5. Tony Johnson has Green Bay -4.5. He has Miami moneyline +150, and then a whole bunch of unders.
Here we go.
New England and Cincinnati under 41.5. Houston and Tennessee under 51. Seattle and Carolina under 49.5. Denver and Kansas City under 44.5. And Atlanta and San Francisco under 48.5. And now, our fade the fuck out of token picks.
Did you give Tony's 3 games?
Oh, Tony 3 gave it. You're right. New England and Tennessee under. Seattle and Carolina under. Denver and Kansas City under.
All right.
Under.
Under.
Mr. Underoos.
He's the Thunder from down under. All right, now it's time for Tokens picks. However,
the
he went
fuck out of token.
5-2.
He
last
did.
week.
You would have gotten your teeth kicked in if you faded him last week.
But correct me if I'm wrong. His record for the year is
38-60.
So you'd still be up.
You'd be up tailing or fading any one of us. Although I'm 47-51. So.
You'd be down, fading me. Remember, I'm up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Financially, I'm up. You'd be down $90 fading me. Actually, you'd be down more fading me.
Yeah, because you'd be paying juice on that. And
correct.
Everything. Yeah. So
all right. So get your pens and papers out. Tail it or fade it at your own risk. Again, he was 5-2 last week, but he is what for the year?
38-60.
Yeah, you heard it there. So all right, here we go.
Here we go. Denver +9 against Kansas City, and Denver money line at +400. New England and Cincinnati under 41.5.
Such a millennial. I made a fart noise on the podcast. What a millennial.
Yes, you are.
All right, boomer.
Whatever.
You're not even a boomer.
I know. Then the whatever mantra is like all complete.
That's what boomers should
so
reply
Gen X.
back with now. Okay, boomer. Whatever.
Yeah, but it's just such a Gen X attitude to say, whatever. Chargers +1.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. Your fiance Seattle -6 over Carolina.
I want to like that, but for token, I don't.
And then Indianapolis. Not only is he going with the +9, but he's also rolling with the money line at +350.
About tree Fiddy.
And the 3-gamer, he's got Denver +9.5. He's got Indianapolis +8.5.
Well, he would be at Denver +8.5. The line's 9 right now, right?
Is it 9? Oh, so yeah. It moved, and then I didn't change it on here.
Oh, bad boy.
So that was my bad. And then under 41.5, New England and Cincinnati. He loves that under in the New England game.
Oh, good. Fuck him.
Yeah.
He can have the Cincinnati team total under, but he ain't getting that one. All right, well, that's it. That's all the picks, and we are just about out of time. So as we wrap it up, we will thank the sponsors. Obviously, 12-ounce Sports, where we air every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now that we're going to do after the bowl season, we're going to have to come up with some content. So maybe
hockey.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some hockey, so you can phone in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Again, 12-ounce Sports, Friday,
Hockey,
Saturday,
hockey,
Sunday.
hockey.
We still got some NFL picks for you. We got a lot going on that. So again, please check us out on 12-ounce Sports, 12ozsportsradio.com. is where you can find us. Also, Seat Giant, promo code 12-ounce sports for discounts on your sporting events, concerts, and theater tickets. And something I never do, and I always say I'm going to do it in the next podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at Vegas Squares. You can follow Spike on Twitter at Spike McAwesome. And I just changed my little Twitter. I built a new Twitter just to put my own pics on. I told you this before. I like to put pics up there randomly. Let me see if I can find what the actual name of the Twitter was. They made me change it. Let's see.
Did they really?
Yeah. ACC Squares.
ACC Squares?
Yeah, it was going to be LV Square, but then I guess that's somebody else's handle. But I looked at the handle of who that was, and they haven't tweeted since 2013.
That drives me nuts.
Go fuck off a bridge. So I am now ACC Squares, SQUARES. That's where you can find. I tend to post my own personal pics there throughout the week on games, obviously not just football. So that being said, you can follow also Token Tony 89. That's Token, and Tony Johnson is not a social media guy. So
yeah, I don't blame him. Social media is the fucking devil.
It is the devil. I have tried to remain calm. I was a hothead on social media, and then I realized, you know what? I'll just go live my life. So I just post pics now.
Yeah, well, you're better off.
Yeah, probably. So, all right, Boomer. Anything else you got to say?
I guess Boomer Sooners. I don't know if Oklahoma's playing anytime
Hey, you know what I
soon,
do
but-
have while we wrap up here? We got about a minute or so. You had a job interview, and did you get it?
Yeah, well, so the way that the process works is that there's a phone interview, and then there is...
Let's talk about the phone interview first.
An in-person interview. So this is the first time that it was a phone interview that was supposed to be like a Skype interview. They use a different software, but whatever.
Okay.
So it was supposed to be video. So I was off from actual work that day, so I'm in my house, in my office, in a fucking suit and tie, and then they had technical problems, so they couldn't do it. So
That's not even the good part.
So it was just a phone interview, and as I'm talking to these people and I'm trying to explain, different things that I've done at my work and what I can bring to this new organization, all of a sudden my phone starts going ding, 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 ding. Fortunately, I'm connected to messages for the web through my text, so I can look at the web browser, and all of a sudden I see these fucking chuckle fucks just college football, college football, college football, college football, and I'm like, shh. Like, just send a text saying,
Yeah, I
shush.
didn't know why you were saying. I thought you were just saying, like, I don't like college football, so don't talk about it. And so we just kept on texting.
Yeah, and then it was just ding, 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 ding. And then I finally had to say, shut the fuck up, please. And then finally you guys did, and there was only about 5 minutes left in the interview at that point.
I can't speak for the Tokens, but I was like, fine, fuck you. And we went to a different text. We went. I created another group chat with them. We deleted
Oh, you
it.
did? All right.
But I was like, what a bitch. And then I realized you were on a phone interview. And now I felt slightly worse. Still go fuck yourself, but it felt slightly worse.
No, and,
So I just had to say I was rooting for it. So I was hoping you got it, but it sounds like there's more steps to the process.
yeah, I'm not going to find out if I make it to the second step till probably middle to end of next week, and then the actual interview won't happen till after the new year. It's a slow process, especially when you work in the public sphere. It's just there's a lot of steps and a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to these interviews, so you don't expect to hear things right away.
Well, let's just hope it's not another 12-step program. You wouldn't want to go through that.
That
again.
is true. And, this is, you kind of get used to it, but at the same time, like, people that aren't used to it, we've lost a lot of really good candidates who either found other work or just got sick of waiting and decided they didn't want to leave where they were at. So, it's good and bad in the sense that the people that are interviewing, that they really want to come join you, but at the same time, you lose a lot of really good candidates.
Well, yeah, when you drag your feet like that. I mean,
it's problematic.
Through no fault of your own, if you've got to do your due diligence, you got to do your due diligence. That's a tongue
but
twister.
it's also a public agency, so there's extra rules and steps that have to be followed and all that shit. So,
Spike's public enemy number one.
what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Cool. Well, we wish you the best of luck in your endeavor. I speak for the Tonys and myself when we say we hope you get it. And
Appreciate
we'll
that.
text the fuck out of you on your next phone interview.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun. And the other part of the problem is that even though I am connected to messages on the web, I have a mechanical keyboard at my house, so it's clack, 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 clack. So I had to keep my message to you guys to shut the fuck up as short as possible.
Yeah, you shorthanded the hell out of it. So. All right, once again, we appreciate you listening, and we will catch you on the next podcast. Tail us or fade us, the choice is yours, but fade the fuck out of Token. That choice is yours too.